Hi guys, today we are continuing the story, A Shady Plot by Elsie Brown. It is a ghost story and we are going to hear it in stages. It is found in English literature, textbook in English for grade 10 CBSE. Let's roll! "Doesn't he look sly?" said Miss Hinkle. And then I got up and fled from the room. I do not know how that party ended. I do not want to know. I went straight upstairs and undressed and crawled into bed, and lay there in the burning dark while the last guest gurgled in the hall below about the wonderful evening she had spent. I lay there while the front door shut after her, and Lavinia's steps came up the stairs and past the door to the guest room beyond. Then, after a couple of centuries elapsed, the clock struck 3, and I dozed off to sleep. At the breakfast table the next morning, there was no sign of my wife. I concluded she was sleeping late, but Gladolia, upon being questioned, only shook her head, muttered something, and turned the whites of her eyes up to the ceiling. I was glad when the meal was over, and hurried to the library for another try at that story. I had hardly seated myself at the desk when there came a tap at the door, and a white slip of paper slid under it. I unfolded it and read, "Dear John, I'm going back to my grandmother. My lawyer will communicate with you later." "Oh!" I cried. "Oh, I wish I was dead!" And "That's exactly what you ought to be," said that horrible voice from the other end of the room. I sat up abruptly. I had sunk into a chair under the blow of the letter. Then I dropped back again, and my hair rose in a thick prickle on the top of my head. Coming majestically across the floor towards me was a highly polished pair of thick-laced shoes. I stared at them in a sort of dreadful fascination, and then something about their gait attracted my attention, and I recognized them. "See here," I said sternly, "what do you mean by appearing here like this?" "I can't help it," said the voice, which seemed to come from a point about 5.5 feet above the shoes. I raised my eyes and presently distinguished her round protruding mouth. "Why can't you? A nice way to act, to walk in sections." "If you'll give me time," said the mouth in an exasperated voice, "I assure you the rest of me will arrive presently." "But what's the matter with you? You never acted this way before." She seemed stung to make a violent effort, for a portion of a fishy eye and the end of her nose popped into view with a suddenness that made me jump. "It's all your fault." She glared at me, while part of her hair and her plaid skirt began slowly to take form. "My fault?" "Of course. How can you keep a lady up working all night, and then expect her to retain all her faculties the next day? I'm just too tired to materialize." "Then why did you bother?" "Because I was sent to ask when your wife is going to get rid of that Oja board." "How should I know? I wish to heaven I'd never seen you," I cried. "Look what you've done. You've lost me my wife. You've lost me my home and happiness. You've... "Mr. Hallock," came from the hall outside. "Mr. Hallock, I's going to quit. I don't like no hoodoos." And the steps retreated. You've lost me my cook." "I didn't come here to be abused," said the ghost coldly. I... And then the door opened and Lavinia entered. She wore the brown hat and coat she usually travels in, and carried a suitcase which she set down on the floor. That suitcase had an air of solid finality about it, and its lock leered at me brassily. I leaped from my chair with unaccustomed agility and sprang in front of my wife. I must conceal that awful phantom from her at any risk. She did not look at me, or thank heaven, behind me, but fixed her injured gaze upon the wastebasket, as if to wrest dark secrets from it. And ta-da! Time is up. We will be continuing this story in the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video for receiving more of this story and others. Goodbye.